1 year ago, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by military court for a crime they did not commit. These Storm Knights promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade into the Pakistani underground. Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, if you can find them, and if the other guys aren't available, then maybe you can hire the B team. Welcome to Tuesday Night Torg. I am JM, your GM, and the Horsemen are enjoying, or at least most of them are enjoying, a well-deserved night off. We have the Horsewoman, Batty, with us tonight as a member of the B team, but we have some new faces, so we're going to go around, we're going to introduce everyone. We're doing a special Halloween one-shot. I am looking forward to this. We're setting it in Orrosh. Started off thinking it was going to be a little bit more like body horror like we were doing in Tharcold, but it turns out it will most likely just be action horror because of the characters that my generous players have presented me with. So, if Brian, let's start with you. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us your background with Torg, who you are, and who you will be playing tonight.
Alrighty, hi, my name's Brian Rothfuss. You'll find me under the handle Certified Torganic. I have been a long-time Torg player. Started in the 90s with the original version, and been a proud backer of Torg Eternity, and will continue to be so till I die. This evening I shall be playing Alistair McPherson, member of the 42nd Royal Highlander Brigade. Brave and Scottish steadfast.
Ben, who will be playing Malachi, why don't you do the same?
Excellent. My name is Ben Parker, and I am one of the people who bought the Torg books in the 90s, but never actually found anyone to play it with them. And then, when Torg Eternity happened, I thought, okay, well, I've got a second chance. So tonight, I will be playing Malachi Monkishpaw, a Victorian Diabolist.
Excellent. I am really looking forward to one of the advantages of being on the Ulysses International channel is we did get to see a little bit of a preview of the Orrosh mechanics for players. So hopefully we will be able to kind of call those out when we see them and talk about kind of some of the cool things that is coming up. Batty, would you like to introduce yourself, your experience with Torg for those who might be tuning in for the first time? By the way, if you don't know, Brian and Ben, they are usually in the chat commenting on our Torg games. I am so glad to have them in our game for tonight. So go ahead.
First, it's Maddie, not Batty. So just to clear that up.
It was a thing.
Second,
it was a theme.
it was a thing, but sets a precedent. I've been playing Torg for a couple months now, so getting a little more familiar with the rules, but still don't understand all of the mechanics, which sometimes works in my favor, sometimes doesn't. And this evening, I will be playing Shelley Abondam from a long line of strong, smart, stout, puritanical women. Yeah,
cool.
I'm gonna have some fun with it.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
This is going to be fantastic. And then Ben, other Ben, who's playing Reginald. By the way, your camera is off.
Okay, let's see here.
Why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know who you will be playing tonight.
Sure. Can you see me now?
I cannot, but we will fix that here in a bit. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Nope, we can see you now.
Okay, all right, excellent. My name is Ben. I have been, other Ben, I guess. In this case, I've been playing with Jam for a number of years now. Met him when the world was young and innocent on Google Plus. Since then,
It was a simpler time.
It was. We've become good friends, and I've gotten to play in a number of his games. It's been a real privilege, and as he may have mentioned, he's been trying to get me to play Torg for quite a while now. He actually was so kind as even to send me the book, so I have those in hand, as well as the dice and even the cards, so he set me up good. Tonight I shall be playing Original Worthington of the Queen's own Worthingtons and Monster Hunter.
All right. So, as you may know, if you have been following the Ulysses International channel, we have several groups that have been journeying through the possibility wars. The most recent group is the Horsemen, but there was an older group, and then in this older group, those Storm Knights did have a member of a group known as Archibald Peacock. Now, Archibald Peacock was one of these people who were sent into, who helped, who escaped from the stockade. If you are unfamiliar with the Orroshian story in Torg Eternity, there was a general for kind of these Storm Knights in Orrosh, someone by the name of General Wellington. And General Wellington was sort of called out by Quinn Sebastian and proved that he was in league with the Gaunt Man. And so there's been a lot of a dust-up. Command has been changed. Lieutenant General Huxley has taken command of the Victorians, who are these people who have come over to help fight the Gaunt Man and all that he stands for, and have been aiding the Storm Knights in their possibility war. So this is sort of what has been going on with you guys. You were sort of accused of these crimes during this dust-up, and you have made your way into the underground. You have kind of headed to the northwest, out of India proper, into what was once known as Pakistan, where there's not as much support, there's not as much aid, but the Victorians are slowly spreading out from the Maelstrom bridges. The Maelstrom bridge that's sort of closer to the Pakistani border, there have not been as many Victorians who have, sort of come over. Now, you have heard, however, that there is, as you've been moving through this, going from village to village, aiding as you can, hunting down monsters, as several of you are monster hunters, several of you have at least the trappings of monster hunters, that there is a temple in the mountains that they sort of have, the villagers that you have been moving through have been talking to you, that there's this temple of light. But that it is under attack from the Gaunt Man, from his forces, Gospogs, and even stranger and darker beings. And so what you kind of have put together is that there is an old Buddhist temple up in the mountains, kind of this remote place, and that it is become a bastion of hope for people in this. Well, I mean, if you are unfamiliar with Torg, Orrosh is the darkest, I would say, of all of the Cosms. What little hope is allowed in Orrosh is just there to make the fear that much sweeter when hope collapses. So, armed with this knowledge, armed with kind of what has been going on, our group here you guys have headed out to try and see if there is not some way you can prevent the Gaunt Man and his forces from preventing this temple from being overrun. Any questions, any thoughts before we begin? I've handed out Cosm cards, I've handed out drama cards, we've given Ben a brief rules introduction. Thoughts from the players before we get into it?
Nope. I reckon we'll just find some creatures and poke a hole in them about here.
You just pointed to all of them.
I'm not that specific. If I'm going to be specific, I'll say about here.
There we go. Already the chat is in good form tonight. Well done. Glad to have all of you about. And yes, Wellington did meet his Waterloo. All right.
He inspired a delicious, savory dinner favorite.
He did.
Yeah.
All right. So as you head up towards this area, you have kind of arrived in this small village at the base of the foothills, and dealt handily with a monster that was kind of threatening them. Malachi, let me ask you, as you're the diabolist of the group. What monster did you guys kind of clear out to kind of prove that you were the heroes that you claimed you were, and kind of to get directions to the temple?
Unfortunately, we had to defeat a false Ganesh.
Ooh,
Yes.
that sounds terrifying.
It was. It's like the Minotaur of legend, and yet elephantine. His joints and appendages were different from that of regular both men and or elephants. Large and small and bulbous. And as we destroyed him, the sinuous pus covered the ground upon which even we stood.
It's all about location. Stand far enough back and it doesn't get on you. See, all still white. It's about that.
So let's just go around real quick. Alistair, what is one thing that you contributed to defeating this false Ganesh? How were you instrumental in helping the team defeat this terror?
Well, being handy with the sword and the shield and preparing myself, I would stand in the front, taking most of its attention so the monster hunters and diabolists can get in there and do their dirty bits, their little wee bits of sorcery or whatever foul things they normally have to do, even more foul things.
Now, Alistair, you have a special shield. Do you want to kind of tell us what that is?
It's a sacralum shield, so it's a given special charm so that whenever I'm fighting against forces of evil, it grants just a touch more protection. It allows for me to stand in the front without getting my brains bashed in, which I wouldn't care for. It's not the sort of thing I'm going to sign up and be first in line if I can avoid it.
Shelley, how did you aid in taking down this false Ganesh?
Well, when not calling down the righteous anger of the Lord, use the good book.
All right. I look forward to your puritanical character, Maddie. Just realize that Puritans don't have a great track record in my game, and I think you know that.
Well, they're uptight. They put their buckles on top of their hats instead of their shoes.
Right?
So just
This is oatmeal.
Reginald, how did you aid in this?
Of course, as a moss hunter and rifleman, I was at some distance, of course. And, all it took once he was suitably distracted was a single explosive shell right to the cranium.
Right,
I find that does it for most things.
Because you have the Monster Hunter gun.
That's right.
Now, just to toss this out here, the new the ways you can customize a Monster Hunter gun. I am so excited for the Orrosh book to come out. Malachi, what did you do in sort of aiding in putting this creature to rest?
Well, as always, my scholarly skills helped the entire team find the monster, so I take a bit of credit for that, and then also my protective circle of salt, which is 2 meters wide, in case there's anyone who wants to be protected, and then shoot from a distance, as I do. And so I mean, while the monster never actually reached the circle of salt, so it wasn't like proven that it worked. I still take full credit.
When you said the circle was 2 meters wide, I thought like the line that you drew was 2 meters wide. I was like, holy cow, that's a lot of salt. How? Oh, now I'm tracking.
I carry a lot of salt.
That's right, just laden down.
A large expenditure in my character creation.
That's a shirt for Mr. Salt.
Well, you sit here in this village at the base of the mountain. And you are sitting there with Hamza, who is sort of the village elder, who is sharing a very humble meal with all of you. Thank you. Thank you for your help. Our village, we did not... I know that the war that they speak of against the horrors of the night, we do not get very many of your kind here in this area, so... What can I do to repay you for this great gift? I know you seek the temple, but is there information? Is there more than just directions? Is there something I can do to aid you in your journey across this land, bringing light to the darkness? Yes, Shelley.
Do you have a moment to hear of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ?
Oh, it's gonna take forever.
No, I appreciate that your faith brings the fire that we saw you use in battle with the false Ganesh, but ever since. Especially since all of this horror descended on this area, we have found that the old ways have are much more useful to us in our combating of the horrors. There is power in the ancient ways, and I would warn you, the temple that you seek, the temple of it is one of the sacred sites of the Vajrayana Buddhists. There are legends that they built it there to keep the remains of something dark buried. And I am concerned that these rumors about how did you say it, the Gaunt Man, that he... Have you heard the story of Sarai Badat?
Let's see, I had a drinking buddy. No, it was a different person. Carry on.
I've heard of SirIvan.com.
That might have been like, no, it was still a different guy.
Do you want to, you're our scholar here, Malachi. Do you want to give me a roll?
Can I please roll a scholarly roll?
You may roll a scholarly roll. So, Ben, as Malachi is rolling here, and as this is your first time playing Torg, let me kind of explain how this works. So in Torg, you're rolling a d20, but it's not a d20 type system. Your main impact on the die roll is what your skill is at. So that's your attribute plus your adds.
Okay.
For most things, unless I tell you otherwise, 10 is sort of the difficulty number you have to hit. So you'll see that for a lot of things, you've already met the basic difficulty.
Okay.
So the die roll will either add to or subtract from your base skill. And you'll notice at the bottom of your character sheet, there's that bonus chart across the bottom. Now, you do want to make sure that if you roll a 10 or a 20, to let me know, because they explode. And as long as you keep rolling 10s or 20s, they just keep exploding. So, Malachi, what's your base skill in the skill you are rolling?
Oh, my base scholar is a 12.
All right, so go ahead and give me the roll and tell me what you get.
I rolled an 11, so that's a 0. So it stands at a 12.
All right, so a 12 is going to be a standard success. If you have a card at this point that you would like to play, or anyone would like to play, to get that to a 15, that would be a good success.
I personally have a hero card. which works as another possibility, if I'm correct. So
Yes.
I'll just roll again.
All right, so if you spend a possibility, Ben, you get to roll another d20, and it will add to the first roll. And if it's less than 10, it counts as a 10, but it will not explode.
All right. And you have 3 of those per game, more or less?
Per act, but tonight's game will
okay.
basically be, it'll possibly be 2 acts, but it'll most likely be 1. So, what did you get, Malachi?
So I used my hero card, and I rolled another 11, which takes me to 22, which is a +8 to my base of 12, so it's a roll of 20.
So that is an outstanding success. So I will give you the basic information, and then you can ask me a couple of questions to kind of fill in sort of what you know. So you know that Srai Badat is also known as Adam Kor, or the Man-Eater. He was a king of this area long ago, who engaged in ritual cannibalism, like to the point that he would have villages from the surrounding areas in his kingdom send children for he and his court to kind of consume. Now, there was a great prince who married this Sarai Badat's daughter, and they overthrew him, and they killed him, and they buried his bones, and these Vajrayana Buddhists came and they built a temple kind of above it, and sealed his bones away for fear that they would rise as something unholy. Now you can ask me a couple more questions, but that's kind of the general gist of the legend of Sarai Badat.
Okay. Question number 1. Is there a path in which pilgrims to his related holy sites pass regularly, and therefore make it easier for us to follow and reverse?
There's actually a path of what kind of a path of purification. So Vajrayana Buddhism is also known as Tantric Buddhism. So it has a very physical and corporeal kind of interaction. So if you took the path of purification, it would be safer physically, or safer supernaturally to get up there. But you would have to stop at different points and ritualistically purify yourself moving up the mountain, which would be a dramatic skill test if you go that way. But you would be as far as you understand it, you would be protected from any of the horrors that are kind of roaming the countryside.
Oh. Well then, as Malachi, I will ask, in which way may we meet the most horrors?
If you go straight across the field, Hamza says, well, there have been people who have been taken from not just my village, but all of the surrounding villages. And at first we thought that Adam Kor had returned, but what we discovered is that they were planted. Is that the term that is used? There are the creatures of the night. I believe they, in your tongue, they are referred to as gospogs.
Dodgy business, that.
You guys want to explain to Reginald, who is sort of the newest recruit to the outfit, what a gospog is?
Hell, it's a gospog.
Well, I suppose the best way of putting it is, imagine you've done and defeated a foe, and you set him up in a field and you plant a wee plant inside of him. And after a while, that plant starts to germinate and creates sort of a animated corpse of sorts. But as the field continues to grow, the creatures that come from it get stronger and stronger, and they change form, and they start to take a more twisted aspect of wherever it is that they're from. It's a very, very nasty thing to do, but it's a great way of replenishing your troops.
So sort of a evil magical dryad that you can sort of create on your own. Sort of.
Well, think of it more like a bunch of shock troops that are ever replenishing. And
So
getting
myrmidons.
No.
They're half Walking Dead and half Little Shop of Horrors.
I see. Well then,
The Gaunt Man is
I
very
assume
much
they-
into reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah.
I assume they die. You have to shoot them in the head or some other specificity.
No, you just have to mash them real hard because they're pretty tough to put down.
Fair enough.
So that's your answer. If you take the Pilgrim's Path, there's a test of ritual purification, but if you just want to cut your way through the Gospog planting fields, you can go that way.
I personally love rituals.
Well,
Ben, you can have a possibility.
I better write that down.
Other Ben.
All right. Well then,
Malachi.
that's not other Ben.
Well, given
Oh
no,
no, said Ben, and as rules count.
that's right. It's both of you.
That's right.
Games of
Per the rules,
I heard.
it is all
That's what we
Ben's
get
at
for
the
having
table.
named Ben.
That's right.
Given the nature of things, I think perhaps if we ended up doing this ritual, it'll keep our opponents from realizing what we're up to. I think that if we're going up to this temple, if we do it the frontal assault version, it'll give them a chance to bolster the defenses. But if we, clip one up the back, that might be a better choice. So I certainly don't mind being a little bit wiser about it, rather than just smashing right through the front.
Well, if you want my vote, it would always be to take them head on. Take as many out as possible. The old, but I suppose the old, very slow, dual ritual path would probably keep us alive. And I suppose I can always circle back and do some target practice on the way home.
Yeah, that frontal charge thing doesn't work very well. I mean, think about the light brigade. Just saying.
Well, it's true, but there were special circumstances.
No, just the special instructions. Yeah. Go get him. It's not always the best plan. You're just putting that out there.
And you, cautious lady, how do you feel?
If we take the path of purification, I will choose not to purify, because I've already been purified by a greater entity. My soul is cleansed. I stand clean. But I will
But
defer to the
certainly
wisdom
the
group.
path shall be easiest for you.
Indeed.
That's
You're
right.
already pure.
So you're saying there's going to be you've already
Possibly.
traveled through
I
some
will-
sort
I will,
of Puritan's progress, if you will, and
What is your faith? A 9?
Overly starched clothing and wool for that one.
all right. So I'm hearing we're heading along the path of purification, then, or are we heading
No
across
idea.
Definitely, we're taking the path of purification. It's a straight path
Straight and narrow, as it were.
with two sides. I saw his hands. It has a side and a second side. And we're on it. And the path is pure and will result in purification. And you're on it, baby.
Already on it.
All right. So you guys are heading on the path of purification. Awesome. I apologize for my technical issues tonight. They're just I made a Puritan's progress joke and no one really got to hear it, and All right,
It was
so
tight, no way.
it was hysterical and would have garnered me possibility from the chat. But moving on. So do you head out at night or do you wait for the morning? Hamza says he will guide you himself to the start of the path.
There's no reason to not get a good night's sleep. I mean,
I thought we were going for surprise. Up the back way as well, Scotch friend here.
if we were to leave in the evening, we would all need to be well equipped with lanterns or torches or something to provide light, because the creatures of Orrosh are +4 in the night.
Or, as our host here put it, we will be safe on this path. And, if in fact it is most dangerous to travel at night, they would at least expect us to do so.
Your bravado has changed my mind. Let's go.
I always find that if you're going to hunt monsters, you have to think like a monster. Which is to say...
But I've got a second wind.
Well,
What
your
were you
English
saying, Maddie?
already started on that path.
Just to throw it out, I took a fun new perk called Puritan, and I can actually smell corruption. So you just let me know what I'm smelling.
I who can lick things and know what has happened to them.
That's intriguing. Tell me more about this licking.
I thought you were a Puritan!
Somewhere in Thargold, Anton goes, someone is talking about me somewhere. Alright, so Hamza gives you some additional food to carry with you, and a small tri-cornered dagger that is not sharp. He lets you know this is a furpa, a magical dagger that is its purpose is to intimidate evil spirits and overcome challenges. It helps focus the soul, and it focuses the mind, and he believes it may be of some use to you. And so he hands you this small dagger. Who will take it?
You use it to intimidate spirits.
All right, Malachi.
That seems a ritual, and besides, I have a silver knife for poking beasties. I don't know if I'm just going to be the right for that.
All right. So, you travel outside of the light of the village, and Orrosh. I'm not saying there's not a full moon, but it's always hard to see it in Orrosh. The clouds cover the sky, the mists roll in. It's either too hot or too damp. And as you move into the foothills, you definitely... Sorry, the chat said they took the knife. You definitely can hear the sounds, the howls of wolves, the flapping of large leathery wings, and the sort of wet rustling of things in the distance. But Hamza does bring you to this series of boulders at the edge of a cliff, and as he kind of works his way through it, you can see a small path carved through, and kind of as soon as you you follow him in here, you feel almost as if a little bit of the oppression of Orrosh, that sort of nagging dread that constantly weighs on the shoulders of not just the Ords of Orrosh, but it's almost especially the Storm Knights, lessens a bit. And Hamza says, I will wait for you here 3 days. If you do not come back, we will mourn your passing.
Oh, thank you very much. I fully expect to return with, perhaps, treasures and trinkets.
Do not loot and desecrate the temple. There are guardians, Reginald. Temple guardians. They speak of twin skeletons wreathed in flames.
Right, but what's the whole point of monster hunting if you can't, take a bit of a bone here or there? Oh, by the way, save those Ganesh tusks for me. There's be some lovely scrimshaw. I can send it back to the society.
All right, colonialism.
All right.
It was a false skinette.
One last little piece. Do you have any information or knowledge about what sort of foul beasts might be at play trying to get to this temple, or what we might run into that are going to impede our path when we're actually there?
I have heard stories from those who travel in the mountains that there is some sort of new type of demon from out of legends that have been seen hunting in the mountains. It is well, I do not know what they are called. They serve the Lord who has come through the bridges. They serve the Lord of this reality. They fly about on leathery wings. They have talons and large, elongated faces with massive fangs. I do not know what they are called, but there is one of them who serves the Gaunt Man, and I believe he is searching for the temple as well. If you want to give me a scholar roll, Malachi, you got an outstanding success on that last round. A Ravagon.
Before you tell me, sir, as a scholar, I would like to take a generous stab at what it could possibly be.
Please do.
Well, just if there was a temple generating hope and encouraging the people to resist the reality of the Gaunt Man, then the Gaunt Man, the Lord of Orrosh, might send one of his top generals and or highest stormtrooper competence, which is a Ravagon.
A Ravagon by any other name, my friend, is correct. So, you have some information now. Would you like to share with the party what a Ravagon is?
Winged Death. It is in there are the place that you come from. There are these books with drawings and words at the same time, and within one, a Ravagon named Sauron exists. They are winged, lizard-like creatures whose world was previously destroyed by the Gaunt Man. But they aided in that destruction by cannibalizing each other, killing the weak ones in order to ensure that the entire planet was only comprised of very strong, winged, taloned lizard creatures.
I see.
Yeah.
And now they serve their planet being too weak to support life at all. They have left, and they serve the Gaunt Man as his generals and assassin-esque Gestapo.
That is a wonderfully succinct and impressive retelling of the Ravagans. So, all right. Yes, Shelley.
Don't cringe when you say it. I was going to offer to bless the group before we head in on this perilous journey. Because I have ward enemy.
Go.
I should provide some salt for your ritual, madam.
Okay, so rolled a natural 20, so I go ahead and roll again.
Are you taking some of Malachi's salt for this ward enemy?
Oh, I spent my last $57 on a whole bunch of holy water, so I'm just holding my cross, reciting some prayers very loudly, and just holy water everywhere. And
An
so,
apologies to the Buddha.
I need my other sheet. So that's 31.
Oh wait,
Plus
you can pitch for a glory. We have a glory card.
I do.
I didn't get that high. I only got to 31.
Right, but with a possibility, a hero, and a drama, which we all have on the table, you're gonna hit the magic number. It's there.
Would you like to try?
Okay. Sure.
So when Maddie rolls this, so first of all, who's tossing cards? Who's going first?
I can throw my own. What did I say? I have a hero. I also have a drama too. I have hero and drama.
Yeah. I think you've got all the resources, and he's got the glory. I mean, it's.
All right. Yep.
So I will say, one of the great things about Torg is you can go into Orrosh planning a horror game, and the cards can be like, nope, we're big damn heroes. And you just as the GM go, you guys are big damn heroes.
So I got to 51 with my own cards.
Right.
And I'm a little bit short.
All right.
You can also have one of your own personal possibilities to get that last lead. Because no matter what, it's a lead 10.
I can use a possibility. I'll just burn all my cards now. But it's a one shot, and I'm marked for death. So
Well,
that's fine.
And don't forget,
And on top of that, we get cards back.
you get a card back
Oh, right.
and a possibility with the glory card, right, Ben?
Okay, sweet. I will spend
Yes.
possibility.
You get a possibility, and yep. Hand size is increased by 1 until the end of the next act.
The
Okay.
net.
So
So I hit 61.
All right. So Ben, you don't have to play your glory card now, man. Like.
oh yes, I would like to. seems appropriate.
All right, so as a group, let's kind of talk through this real quick. So Shelly starts blessing you, and that sense of dread just sort of goes away. And you even see Hamza kind of stands up a little
Consider
bit.
the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
I was going to say probably says, "I will speak to you should you survive this." So normally, when a glory card is played, it reignites hope throughout the region and allows you guys to actually attack and destroy the stela which kind of anchor Orrosh to this area. So somewhere, one of those is weakened to the point where it can be attacked by Storm Knights. But in the local area, we're going to start with. So Brian, how would you kind of represent? Like, what kind of effects do you see kind of happening going forward for this glory card being played?
Well, I see that the sky starts to lessen as far as the clouds, and we can start seeing some of the skies and the stars, and the moon becomes a bit more clear, and the warped and black, twisted nature of all the trees and the vegetation starts to sort of become a little bit less hidden and wrapped in shadows and becomes just a little bit more mundane, a little bit more relaxing. It's almost like a nice weekend at, sleepaway camp instead of, even worse.
All right.
Like sleepaway camp 2 or 3. They made the first one at all.
Malachi, what for you as this kind of glory starts to spread through the area? What do you notice?
The purification path gleams as the rainwater evaporates. The stones glow as if enchanted by the Fae of Iron. And also, it just leads us there easier. It's like now they're lit up.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
And I'm going to that one.
So Shelly, Maddie, this is only. So we started running Torg about a year ago, and this is only the third time a glory has ever happened. So, what do you add to this?
Choices. To inspire hope. I mean, to go big. Here we go.
Go big or go back to the village.
Right. Some of the folks who were disappearing, like one or two, maybe come back out of the woods and inspire hope that, it's not all bad. You can escape.
Back in the village, several of these villagers come back and they're like, we saw the purification path. Not only just like the clouds parted and we saw the sky for the first time, but the path was like an arrow shining in the night, pointing us back out of this labyrinth that we have wandered through. We believe that there is something special going on this night, and it just sort of spreads through the villages. Reginald, do you want to add anything to this?
No, actually. This seems quite pleasant, actually. And I told every one of you that it was a good idea to do this path at night. Turns out I was right.
So, mechanically, what I'm going to say to you is there is one effect now, and there will be one effect later on in the act because of what you guys just did. A glory is a massive event, and I feel like as a Torg GM, it should radically alter the rest of not just this act, but the next act. Like, if the game is at its core about the possibility wars and about inspiring hope and possibility back into people who have, had it stripped from them, then these are the moments that should define, at the very least, a one-shot, if not, a whole campaign. So, first of all, everyone, you get one more possibility. And I'm going to start with...
Before anything else happens, because I don't want to mess up anything that you might be planning on happening, I think at this point, I'll go ahead and play my ominous portent card.
Okay, would you like to read that?
I would like to read that.
Thanks.
It says, the party happens upon a grisly discovery or seeing a dark omen of some kind. And for the rest of the scene, die rolls from possibilities stand as rolled. You don't get the +10.
All right.
But all Storm Knights gain 3 possibilities.
Yeah!
Right.
7 possibilities.
So they stand as rolled.
The world needs balance.
There. So that means if you roll them, you don't get to bump them to 10. So if you roll a 2 on a possibility, it's a 2. All right, let me kind of walk through all of this. First of all, Maddie, your new card is Idea. Malachi, your new card is Alertness. Alistair, your new card is Action. And Reginald, your new card is Transfer.
All right.
So you guys are currently sitting at 7 or 8 possibility. All right.
Question.
Yes.
Can I play... how likely is it that we will get to another chance to get over 60? Because theoretically, I could spend this Master Plan card to pull Glory back into my hand. Because they're both Destiny cards. But
That's
how
true.
likely is it we're going to hit 60 again?
It took...
You might want to save that for
Okay.
dramatic actions or combats, especially if I drop an opponent fails, so that way we can pick it back up and use it later.
Okay, you got it.
It's out of there for you, but
Yep,
GM,
that's what I-
GM just also laid the probability out at one time out of 29 weeks.
Yeah,
3 times out of 29 weeks.
yeah.
Cool.
Maddie had to spend like half her hand just to get... She had a really good roll and then kind of go from there. All right. So, for this dramatic skill challenge, as you head up the path of purification, the difficulty will start at 8 as opposed to 10 for the first action, unless something like, a complication or a setback comes up it's going to be much easier because you sort of have tapped into this, the hope of everyone who has ever journeyed up this path in the thousands of years since this temple was built. Again, I will tell you there is something else that will happen later that I will remember. Shelly, before I answer your question, I have to come up with this ominous portent that has been put down. So you happen upon a grisly discovery or see a dark omen of some kind. All right, as you start to head up the path, the ground shakes a little bit. You can hear the sounds of rocks falling up ahead. The party ahead of you probably just died.
Oh, good.
And you get the distinct. You can see now that there's moonlight. You can actually see the temple carved into the mountain face, far off in the distance. The moonlight is sort of shining, and you can see kind of this thin ribbon of light that moves along the cliffs and hilltops, right towards it. And sort of as you look up, you see this thing flap its wings between you and the moon, and you can see that it too has noticed the path, and it too has taken stock that something is coming towards it, and it dives down towards the temple.
Well, that might have ruined our chance of surprise, but
But glory. All right.
Glory, that's right.
So we're going to start off on a dramatic task resolution. So Ben, basically the way this works is, as you kind of move through the stations, everyone will have an opportunity to kind of participate towards getting up the path of purification. In this case, the task is sort of ritually purifying yourself as you move up towards the hill. If it is successful, there is something cool that happens. If you fail, there's something, well, not as cool that happens. But the way it works is in Torg, we use for initiative and for this task resolution what is called the drama deck. And on every card on the drama deck, there's initiative, there's like bonuses or penalties to certain sides. There are what are called approved actions. If you take the approved action and find a way to weave it into either combat or this task, you get a destiny card if you're successful. But also along this side, there are these things that kind of share with us, can you move up? So it's not always just up to the die rolls, it's up to the deck as well as another random element that says, hey, does the group complete their journey? So the very first card that has come up is not like this. As you kind of come around the path, again, the stones are illuminated. It is almost like walking up a river of moonlight. You can, like, for the first time since you can recall, that sense of dread and oppression seems gone. There is, it is, you're standing a little straighter, that pain in your shoulders, the knots kind of loosen. But as you come around, you can see that a large pile of rocks has fallen to block the path. So your first task is going to be, how do you kind of clear the way, get across, and for heroes, all heroes are going to be fatigued in this round. So that means that everyone will suffer 2 points of shock unless your armor is fatiguing, in which case you will suffer 3 points of shock. So, who would like to kind of clear the path for the group? And this does have A, B, and C on it, and the approved actions are intimidate or maneuver.
I don't have an idea of how to clear it, but I want to let everybody know, and this is what my question is. So for ward enemy, it says for outstanding, it says as the good result and supernatural. So do the good and outstanding results stack?
Yes.
Okay. So anyone within 5 meters of me gets +2 to all of their defenses, and any evil creature who fails an attack against any of us is stymied.
Cool. So Ben, one of the other things, I know we've talked a little bit about it, let me just explain this to you real quick. There are, so trick, maneuver, intimidate, and What's the other interaction attack? What am I missing? Taunt.
Taunt?
Yes.
New
They can
intimidate.
be used to make what is
Taunt the
called
rocks.
an interaction attack.
You can't.
So maneuver is the run around the guy and tie him up. Taunt is get him angry. Trick is throw sand in their eyes. You can actually give all of your allies a +2 or a +4 to hit if you roll well enough. Or you can give the enemy a -2 or a -4 based off your interaction attack. So that's just something to keep in mind. You actually have ways to engage with both enemies and the surroundings that are not just, I shoot it with my gun again.
Okay.
All right, so who would like to take this first opportunity? How do you get across?
If someone has a very strong strength, perhaps they could move the rocks. Otherwise, I'm very attuned to reality and can find another reality where the path is clear.
Well, I'm certainly tough enough and strong enough. I think I could probably move a couple of boulders here and there, especially if I pick the right one. Maybe send the rest of them cascading down off the side of this precarious path.
Should all ours fail, I have these explosive rounds, which, once we've all stepped a bit of distance back, could perhaps be used to also clear the path.
All right. British conservation wasn't made there.
And save myself for later.
Also true.
All right, so who's gonna do it?
I say we let the Scotsman try his brawn.
All right,
All right.
I'll take lead.
All right, Alistair, go ahead and give me. This will be a strength-based maneuver roll. So,
All right. Strength brace maneuver. Well, that I happen to have. So, 10 and 1 is 11. And let's see. 7 is not very good start. So it's a -2, so that's actually a 9. It's still a success because our target number is an 8.
that's your target number is an 8. So you get the attuned destiny card as you just watch Alistair kind of start heaving and rocking against the rocks, and they roll down the hill, clearing the path. And as you kind of move past it, you can see that on the other side of this this path, kind of up ahead, you can see there's a small cliffside. The path kind of illuminates the edge of the cliff, and you can see that there are several offering bowls kind of centered around a small altar. And you can see kind of the shrine to the Buddha, and you can see like these 7 offering bowls, but there's no real understanding of, like, there's no indication of necessarily what goes where. But you get the feeling, you all, because of this glory, this hope, that this is sort of the first step along the path. Like, who would like to interact? Like, how would you like to approach this?
I will speak to my good puritanical lady and say, surely both you and I, with our knowledge of faith and rituals, should be able to discern what to do with these 3 bowls.
There's actually 7, so
Well, I'm not good at math.
you're good at faith. I was promised there would be no math.
Many rituals have gone wrong for me. So I would roll. I could roll a scholar. I've got a 12 to begin with, and hope that comes up. But if you've got something better, Maddie.
I have a higher faith, but would that help me in this jam, or because of my?
So remember that in Orrosh, the people of Orrosh follow this very sort of severe form of Christianity that is called. Let me pull this up. Why did I just lose all of my notes?
Is it Sacellum? Sacellum?
Yes. And so there's a little bit of synchronism that has gone on with the things around it. So if you would like to make a faith roll to try and figure it out, I would allow it.
Okay.
It's like the combat arm of the Puritans.
the militant wing of the Salvation Army.
Okay.
The Dutch.
I rolled a 17, so that gets me to an 18.
And I should have said, so everybody take your shock, by the way, from the last card. This card is when suddenly it does have A and B, so you are able to proceed, and defend and intimidate don't really necessarily help you here. But
I scare the bulls.
as you kind of look around, you're like, oh no, this makes sense. There's one for water, and one for flowers, and one for incense and light, and some sort of perfume, and then food and salt. And so you are able to kind of, with the stuff that you have, you've got your holy water, you definitely have salt, you just got bags of food, you're able to kind of, between everything, the perfume was a little more of Reginald's alchemical stuff. It smells, but it seems to be enough. And the statue of the Buddha kind of starts to give off this soft glow. Continuing up the path, you start to hear a rattling noise, as if bones were moving against each other. And on this card, this is a breakthrough. So this is an up, which means whoever takes this roll will get an additional roll that gets added to the first one. So this is actually like one of the most powerful things that can happen in a dramatic scene. Taunt is the approved action, but you can see there are these two large skeletal creatures kind of wreathed in flames blocking your path, and the flames are hot enough that they drive you back and prevent you from moving forward. They begin speaking in a language that is unfamiliar. Do any of you have ads in linguistics, I should ask, before I say unfamiliar to you?
Jam, did you say this card has step C on it?
This card does. It's got A, B, and C on it.
Nice.
Any ads in language?
Uh-oh.
Okay, so none of you sort of understand what they are saying. Their voices sort of boom and echo. They rise 16 feet in the air. They stand as giants, and you can see both of their heads are separate from their bodies, but the flames seem to be acting as some sort of musculature, keeping their heads where they should be.
I suspect one of these always lies, and the other always tells the truth.
Well, you could always do the classic, my god's bigger than your god, and see exactly who's the most pure. I mean, we've already done it against the sky. I think a couple of skeletons is kind of a step down from that.
What happens? We lose.
While it's not a taunt, Malachi does have a rather high rating in trick, and with his scholarly knowledge, he could approach the creature and say, "We are emissaries of your lord demon who birthed you, and you will give us passage, or surely his wrath shall rain down and destroy you."
What do you guys think?
You know, if you manage that fucking scheme,
Okay.
you'll talk us into the battle.
Okay, so that was only a 6, so at this point they're not confused. So I'll use one of my 7 possibilities. That makes it a 17, which is a +4 to my trick of 12, which is 16.
A 16. All right. So so you actually got a good success here. So, in addition to them passing, do you have any ideas for this, or would you like me to kind of come up with something for the scene?
Oh, I actually do have an idea. As we pass, the skeletal guardians who once threatened us and now revere us as their betters hand over some of the things they've taken from other adventures previously. And each of us receive a tiny token of the esteem of the skeletal guardians.
A tiny token of the esteem of the skeletal guardians. All right, so here's what's going to happen.
It's just a good success. It's not a outstanding.
It's not a great success. All right, they sort of move to either side so that you must pass through the flames, and so I will allow you guys get to pick. The blessing of the skeletal guardians. The blessing of the skeletal guardians will either give you a +2 to a melee weapon, or a +1 to your toughness until you either damage something or take damage.
I shall take toughness, as I am very soft.
Soft and also squishy. Alistair, what are you doing to do?
I think I'm going to definitely go for the little oomph in the old sword arm.
Shelly?
Toughness, because I have effectively painted a giant target on my front and my back and my side and everywhere else.
Yeah. It's just sort of... And then, Reginald, what are you taking?
I will also be taking the toughness on account of preferring the range.
All right, so you guys all notice that, Alistair, you have a what kind of sword are you carrying?
Scottish broadsword.
You notice that there's a little bit of fire, it's not on fire, it's just sort of every so often flames kind of lick up and down the blade, and the rest of you kind of catch out of the corner of your eyes maybe a little bit of flame running along part of the monster duster or around Malachi's hat, or kind of tracing its way along Shelley's glasses, or whatever is holding up her very strict bun. Who knows? Last but not least, as you can kind of see the temple is just down and over the rise, but in front of you stands a magnificent stone mandala. So a mandala is kind of a geometric representation of the universe. It's a square with 4 gates and then a circle with a center point, and it's sort of a sacred space, but this one kind of is filled in. It sort of blocks your path. You do know that it is a prayer wheel, but you cannot necessarily see, at least to start, how to get past it. Now this card says, I shall triumph. It does have a D, so if you can find a way to get past the prayer wheel, you will emerge from this place purified, along the path, and able to approach the temple where the bones of Sarai Badat lie, and possibly prevent the Gaunt Man from getting some sort of victory in the area.
If anyone would like it, I have an idea card. Just throwing that out.
Well, this is a matter of just knowing how to pray. I'm not a stranger to it, but that's not exactly where I'd go with it.
I believe that whatever divine providence has set us here wanted each of us to make a roll, and so far 3 of us have. But perhaps if good Lady Puritan uses her divine inspiration, which has already proven so strong due to the glory, perhaps our final friend should roll and achieve everything we seek.
So, you're saying we need to pray and in order to pass this thing? That's the short version.
Also
just
saying
one
we all
version of
need help. You need to figure it out.
I'm saying I can give you something to help you figure it out if you would like it, or you can do it all on your own.
Well, is it going to follow that?
Yes, that's all.
The oppressive proselytizing.
Let's see here. So, just so that I'm clear, it's an enormous stone disc blocking the path, correct? All right. And obviously, we can't be blowing this up. Okay. I don't. Okay. Okay. Right. Right. I suspect that, no, we'll not be blowing it up today. It's a prayer wheel. So far, so good, right? I mean, the good village head was so kind as to show us his path. It wouldn't do to blow up his prayer wheel.
And yet, without destruction, there is no creation.
This is true, I suppose. I mean, on the other hand, would a willpower roll work? If I...
How would you phrase it to me? We've already established that even the action horror that I had planned, that's sort of off the table at this point. This is glory.
Well, I may not be praying this if it sort of implies there is some spiritual entity on the other side here, and perhaps I could express my sincere desire to be on the other side of this thing.
All right, give me a willpower roll there, Reginald. You're saying that the need of the area is more important than is really what's driving you forward.
Precisely. All right, that is a 19. So looking at the bonus table, that's a +6, so that's a 25.
No, so it's +6 to your willpower, not to your
+6
die.
to my willpower. There you go. Okay, so that.
I was like,
so
holy
my
crap, what's your willpower?
8 plus, so 14.
14, which is enough to make it pass through sheer expression of need. As like, how do you like impress this upon the stone?
Reginald steps closer to the stone and sort of plants his fists upon his hips and says, "Excuse me, but we have business at the at the temple. You are blocking our passage, and as Storm Knights, in defense of this land, we request passage. Your friends back there, the two burning skeleton fellows, allowed us passage without much difficulty. It would seem that they had the good sense to let us pass."
So basically, you're not entirely sure what you were expecting, but you do see the the smaller prayer wheels turning in the mandala, and finally the whole thing sort of rolls into the mountainside, allowing you to enter in to this place. Now you
I
can see,
pat the side of the mountain and I was like, "There's a good fellow. Thank you."
We're a good mountain now.
that's, all right, Ben. You other Ben, Reginald Ben can have a possibility.
All right.
All right, so the path grows a
Let's
little bit
check
narrow.
what that man's been drinking.
You should pass it around because honestly, all right. So as the path gets a little narrow as it heads towards the temple, you can see that the mountainside doesn't actually take you to the main part of the temple. As you kind of come around, you can see this path leads into sort of a side entrance, but it is narrow enough that you can only go one at a time. So what is sort of the way you are moving towards the temple? Who's in front? Who's in back? Who's in the middle? That sort of thing.
With no indifference to England here, I suppose Scotland ought to lead the way, as always.
And we're so happy you choose to.
It's because of the shield.
Right. That's exactly what it's about.
Who's next?
I don't believe I would allow the good lady to go in front of me, but at the same time, I'll go as last as possible.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I suppose as the one armed with the long-range weaponry, I shall go in the rear.
Okay, I'll go behind the burly Scotsman then.
All right,
That's
so
what
Shelly,
it say?
You look
Malachi.
very nice from behind.
So as you make your way into this, again, the rocks shake as you kind of make your way into the temple, and you can see this place is thousands of years old, carved into the side of the mountains. And as you walk in, you can see there is another glowing, like radiant Buddha, statue of the Buddha, which drops and falls into the floor. There are cracks that start running through it. And there is no one here. You can sort of see Alistair out of the corner of your eye as you were kind of coming in, plant-like shapes in front of the temple, sort of preparing, kind of milling about the front of the temple. But this glowing Buddha statue sort of falls in as you kind of overlook from a balcony. And as you look to the right, you can see a large stone door. So basically, again, as you kind of come into this path into the temple, there's this small balcony that overlooks kind of the entryway of the temple. Buddha statue has fallen in, and you see something dark descend into this large opening that now exists in the center of this of like the vestibule of the temple. There's a stone door to your right. You do hear the cries of a Ravagon just kind of echo as it flies down into this pit. What do you guys want to do?
It almost feels like the race is on, as it were. But jumping down into a pit doesn't exactly seem to be prudent, since none of... Although, if the monster hunter wants to go first, that's alright by me. I'd like to see if he's a flapper or a screamer.
Thank you, sir.
I'm half of they say, just...
Well, I suppose. Is there a path down?
Not that you can see.
And we cannot see the Ravagon down below?
You cannot. It flew into the pit.
And do we have a light source of some kind with us?
I'm assuming that you all carry some sort of maybe electric torch, or
I have an
lanterns.
Orroshian quick flame torch. It's like a match, but it's very large, and when you rip the top off of it, It ignites.
That takes care of the light problem. So, does the door itself have any markings or
You can
some
see.
sort of handle?
Yeah, you can actually see that there is. It is a scene of a man in like traditional sort of traditional garb, and a woman on the other side of the door, and they have separated into 7 pieces this other person whose mouth is monstrous and filled with sharp teeth, and under the light of Malachi's torch, you can see that while the man has a dagger raised, there is no dagger in the woman's hand. There is but a small hole.
You know, I do believe you managed to be carrying a dagger all the way up these stairs. That little pointed little thing that guy gave you. Put that wee poker in there. You're not going to run up and stab nothing with it.
I thought it was going to be a souvenir, but fine.
So, Malachi, as you kind of put it in there, you can feel like a pressure, something trigger, and it kind of slightly rotates down. And as you kind of give it a half turn, the door starts to move. You are able to withdraw the dagger, and it opens, and there's this cobweb-infested stairs that sort of wrap down around. And they head down, the musty scent of death and decay, and something sweet, almost like curdled milk, kind of comes up from below.
I'm glad I didn't have the heavy meal. It's really unpleasant.
Shelley.
Do I smell corruption?
Oh, yeah.
I smell corruption.
Alistair, you could have a possibility.
Like right here, or like a little further away, or like, I mean, I know it doesn't give me much, but like.
So, let's see here. The Puritan smells unpleasant. The smell doesn't cling to a person, but does serve as a warning. So you will have favorable tests to avoid ambush or detect evil. All right, it is just wafting up. It is the scent of the Gaunt Man's own armpit that is sort of coming up from below. The rest of you, it smells bad, but what do you do?
The good book says cleanliness is next to godliness. Someone needs to take a shower.
You do hear this kind of deep, resonant, multi-throated chanting coming up from both your left, the pit, and sort of kind of muffled coming up through the stairwell. It does not seem to be a human voice.
Malachi will say to his compatriots, I can make a circle of protection that is 2 meters in diameter, but it takes me 1 minute to do it. So,
I don't think this is where we need to put it.
Or, right before combat, I can do it in no rounds. It's very depends on when I do it.
Right, but doesn't it stay put?
Oh yeah, we all have to. Hell yeah.
So I think maybe it's best to put that someplace where we're going to do. Right, our problem's down there, not up here. So that's our cue to go down there and poke a hole in something.
Alistair, are you leading the way?
You bet.
Cobweb sticking to your face. The Scotsman leads the way. The path kind of travels about, and you can see the friezes on either side of the wall kind of retell the story that Hamza told you about this king who gets lured into corruption and cannibalism and kind of rises and then is slain by his own family and is severed by the new king and his daughter who becomes the queen, and they throw all of the pieces into his own golden stew pot. And then you see, these are all just images kind of racing past you as you head down the stairs, Alistair, you can see the Buddhists kind of come and they raise the temple. And as you come around the corner, you can see there's this rotted tapestry in front of you, and just beyond, you can see something is casting off a hellishly golden glow. And as you kind of look through the tatters, you can see that you are now in the crypts of this temple. And there are bones everywhere. The whole floor sort of serves as an ossuary. And in the center of this place, giving off this light, is this golden cauldron. And standing above it is a massive Ravagon, who is the source of this multi-throated chanting. And you can see there the glow doesn't seem to necessarily be coming. There's a hellish glow that is rising from the cauldron. It almost looks like the cauldron is being heated up, and you can kind of see parts where it's starting to lose definition, as if it's melting from some sort of heat.
Well, I certainly hope we're interrupting something important. And then I'll lead the charge.
All right. So, Brian, as I'm sure you know, when we go into combat, I shuffle the cards, but I let you decide, one, when I stop, and two, whether I cut or not. So when would you like me to stop?
Right there.
All right. Do you want me to cut?
Stands, no cuts.
All right. So I will let you guys know two things. One, the path of purification has rendered you immune to the fear of this creature. You have been, whether it's your faith or not, there is some power here that has decided to watch over you. But more importantly, Shelley's blessing, I'm saying, still is in effect, her ward enemy, and normally creatures like this have what is called dread, where instead of using the standard combat line, we use the dramatic combat line, which in general is not as good for heroes. I'm going to say that the second effect of the glory card is that we are going to revoke the creature's dread, because the glory card, right? So, Ben, in Torg, the way this goes is I'm going to flip this card. You will know your approved actions. You will know which side goes first, and if there's any bonuses or penalties. So basically, you will get to the whole, like, if the heroes go first, all of the heroes go in whatever order they want. Then the villains will go. So, starting off, first of all, let's get some appropriate music going on. Well, curses. No, that's what the card says, curses. Heroes go first, and villains are fatigued, so they will immediately take 2 shocks. So, Alistair, I'm going to just let you go first because you said you're leading the charge. This Ravagon turns towards you, and you recognize him from some of the posters and the briefings back before the stockade. You've heard of Shiga, the Sandwing. Normally, a little bit further north of here, across, kind of patrolling the Thar Desert in Pakistan. If he's here, it's because the Gaunt Man has plans for this. And as you approach, you can start to see shadows of bones kind of rising up from the cauldron. It turns towards you, giving this multi-throated roar of anger. What do you do?
Alrighty, well, I have situational awareness, so I'm going to go and start out by putting a card in my pool.
Please do.
And so I'm going to throw a flurry in there. And what are the approved actions?
All right.
What are the approved actions?
The approved actions for curses are Intimidate or Trick.
You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and go for the good old-fashioned get 'em.
Okay.
So I'm going to close, and I'm just going to smash him with my sword.
Go for it.
All right. That's 18. So we're looking at a +5. So 17.
So 17 is a standard success. Would you like to increase that somehow?
You know, I have a possibility. Might as well.
You got a lot of possibilities
Yeah,
thanks to
might as well
ominous
use it.
portents and glory and.
All right. Well, the follow-up was only a 6, and since the portents thing is up, it stays a 6.
It does.
So we're looking at a 24. So that goes to an 8. So that's a 20.
So a 20 is a good success. So in Torg, Ben, when you roll a good success on damage, you actually get a bonus die of damage.
All right. And also I have Relentless, so I'm going to take 3 shock and add a second die.
Awesome. All right.
All right, 2 5s. Not too bad. So we're looking at a 23 plus the 2 for the
flame.
boom, 25. So
So a
25
25. So a 25 is 6 over. All right. It is going to attempt a reality roll to soak that. And it's going to roll a 1.
shouldn't have been standing there.
Well, that is a wound and 2 shock for this creature. So what does the first blow look like when you come in there, Alistair? Sword. Now, your shield has special advantages when you are fighting supernatural evil, which this area sort of counts as.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close in, and the shield takes on that glow as it gets charged up by the supernatural evil, and I do that good old-fashioned block high, and then just take that sword and just go right back down on the thing's arm.
All right. You draw a bloody line across it. Do you want to use Flurry?
Everybody on my side gets to go before I get to use it.
Okay. So you can also put another card in your pool. Who would like to go next? Alistair striking a blow against this creature as he goes.
Opponent fails is going in.
Okay. Totally a good card. Ben, do you want to go? Maddie?
Let's do it. All right. So, I don't think I have any cards that are applicable.
You have to. So in combat, none of your cards are usable until they go into your action pool.
Okay.
So at the end of each of your turns, you get to play a card into your action pool, and then it is available for you. Unless, again, you do that critical moment. If you decide you want to do a critical moment, you let me know, and I'll kind of walk you through all of that.
Okay. I don't think I have the need at the moment. All right. Well, I will take a few steps back, take a knee, level my slaying rifle.
Do you have a name for your slaying rifle?
Oh, it's the spear, the lance of St. George. On account if I have this medal, which was awarded to me upon slaying the dragon, the famed man-eater of the northern Ganges.
The lance of St. George, and you do have Dragon Slayer. So, go ahead, Ben. Give me the roll.
All right. So,
fire combat.
This is my. Yep, this is fire combat. Okay, cool. Which is an interesting way of translating that, but I'll take it. That is a natural 20. These dice are fresh out of the can. I'm gonna take it. So that is a 7 plus 19.
You get to roll again, Ben. You get to roll again and it explodes.
True.
Yeah, 10s and 20s explode.
So I'm rolling the second dice. That's a 12. So
32 total.
32 total. So that brings me up to a plus 10, so 22.
So a 22 is a good success. So what is the base damage on your weapon?
Base damage, rolling down here, that is 14.
All right. Do you have a special round you would like to use for this?
Let's see here. I don't know enough about Ravagon to necessarily know if he's. Do I know if he's armored?
Oh yeah, they have super thick hide.
Well then, we shall introduce him to my adamant shell.
All right. How many points of armor does that ignore?
I will have to look at the rules.
I got you. You go ahead. So roll a d6.
Okay. That is a 6? The infinity symbol?
That counts as 5 points, and then you roll again.
All right. That's a 3.
So plus 8. So right now you're at 22, and my armor is reduced by 3. So 14. All right, he's going to have to. The crack of the lance of Saint George, kind of the adamant shell comes right over the shoulder, Alistair, and it is going to attempt to soak the wound that was just done to it. And it got a 5, so that's a -4. All right, so that is still a 12. So he will soak. It will soak that wound. The shell hits.
Perseverance.
What was that?
Perseverance. I think
Oh,
it's
right.
just-
It applies to everyone, doesn't it? It just soaks the shock. Thank you, Brian.
Here to help.
So it is not shocked, but you do see the adamant shell comes ripping through it, exits the other side, and cracks against the wall. Malachi or Shelley?
Not is a no. Okay.
Nose
Okay.
doesn't go.
I will multi-action. I would like to trick and diminish at the same time. So my hands will be activating my magical ability with a lot of like this action and like, oh, that's not very good actions. And then with my voice, I will say, monster, though my compatriots have dealt you harm, 'tis me you should truly fear. And when my ritual, which takes a long amount of time, is finished, you shall know the wrath of Malachi Monkishpaw. And then I...
Yeah, go ahead and roll. It kind of looks at you and briefly, monkey's paw?
I know, right?
Very angry about it. Okay, so first roll. -2 for
Yep,
multi-action.
for multi-action.
So my that would be a trick of 12.
Which is good. Which is a standard success.
Okay. And a diminish of 14.
So, let's talk about diminish. Reduces one of the opponent's attributes and chosen when the spell is cast, and all related skill by 2. So a diminish of 14 targets their willpower or spirit. Cool. Spirit of 13. So do you want to spend a possibility on this roll?
How many do I need to get to a good?
You need 5. You need +4 to get to a good. Because it's got a 13 and you rolled a 14, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So that was a 10. Automatic explode. 13. So that makes it a 24 all day. So now I'm at a diminish of 22. I gotta get to 23.
So what's your taunt as well, by the way, or your trick?
Oh, my trick is 12.
See, it's one roll, so if you spent the possibility on it, it increases both.
I did.
Okay.
I did it. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
All right, so your trick is 12, and your
I'm 20. I'm 20 on trick,
okay.
and I'm 22 on diminish.
A 20 on trick is a good success. So do you want to make him vulnerable, or very vulnerable, or very stymied?
I'm going to go with stymied because he has not attacked yet.
All right, so he'll be at -4 to his actions.
To not hurt my friends.
All right, and then you got a You got a 20.
I'm one away from outstanding,
yeah,
right?
so you got a good success on diminished. So what would you like to reduce by 4? Which attribute?
Strength.
Kind of figured you might say that.
The incantation that he says to reduce his strength is Clippers, Buccaneers, Washington Generals.
I'm tracking. All right. It is now Shelly's turn. You can see this thing seems to, like, its wings start to droop. It looks around as if, what in the 9 hells is going on?
Okay, so did we establish that we know... Okay, so based on Malachi's beautiful story, do we know if this thing, like, loves fire, hates fire?
Which
Like,
thing?
did we catch him?
The
What?
Ravagon?
Yeah.
As far as you know, the Ravagon has no inherent. It is not born of fire, nor does it fear it.
Okay. And then what you say was the situation with the cauldron and the skeletons and
The
that
cauldron
thing?
is starting to bubble. The thing is rattling, and you can start to hear actually sort of this very chattering sort of laughter rising up from it.
Not a fan of that. Okay.
No.
She's going to reach in her satchel, double fisting some holy water, and she's gonna uncork both of them and go for the cauldron and try and cleanse whatever's going on in the cauldron.
All right, so Maddie, what I'm gonna need from you is a heroic, so a DN 18 faith
Okay.
check.
Faith check?
Faith.
Okay.
Uh,
DN 18. faith
Shy Guy definitely no, but it's very hard to lift its arms. You also apparently hear these disembodied voices saying, "The maple leaves." The chat added
Oh,
to
what a
your
10.
chant.
Myself.
Woo! So I
Myself.
rolled a 10 and then a 19, so that gets me to 29.
I
So
originally
that's
titled this
definitely-
episode "The Horror in the Hills," but I think it's just going to be called "Glory!" Exclamation
So
point.
that gets me to a faith. Okay, wait. I said 19 and 10 is 20. Oh, Lord, math. 29. So that's 9. So 9 and 14 is 23.
So that's a good success on this. All right. I had something to throw over
Like
my
holy
shoulders.
hand grenades.
All right. So you dump both vials of holy water into the cauldron, and immediately this gout of steam kind of rises up, and the golden cauldron, the light that seems to be melting it, goes out, and it immediately there's this, like, again, a great plume of steam. You hear this anguished cry that seems to almost be cut short, and as you look inside, there is nothing but now soaked like ground up bones, like ash that has just kind of like been, doused in water. So it's all, there's a little bit of puffing, but for the most part, it just seems to be settled. And you definitely, once again, you kind of felt that, like, you haven't felt the dread. That cauldron was starting to worry you, but again, as you kind of now look up through the hole from which the Buddha statue fell through to, like, the moon roof of the temple, the light of the moon is just shining almost in a brilliant stream all the way down, illuminating the area.
And when she sees that, she'll say, "From dust you came, and to dust you shall return."
There you go. You can grab a possibility as well. Oh, I didn't mean to shuffle those. Hold on. It's my nervous shuffling. Alistair, the heroes have finished their turn.
All right.
Do you want to play Flurry before the Ravagon goes?
I think I'm gonna sit on it.
All right. Well, enraged, much like the GM, enraged by the impotence of all of his knight's actions and plans, long plans gone to waste, he will turn, and Alistair, you are right there.
And
It is right there. Shelly is right there. So it is going to split its attack. It's going to multi-target both you and Shelly. Oh, and I forgot, Malachi, you successfully tricked the thing. So you get an Inspire card.
Jam, I'm gonna say I just put Martyr into my pool. Just putting that in there.
Sometimes, chat. Torg does its own thing. That's not a bug. That's definitely a feature. All right.
I have a backup character.
All right. Here's its multi-attack. It is. Oh, it suffered a wound, so it gets an up on this roll.
true.
Oh.
So yeah, it's got that up. Vengeful it is.
Vengeful it is. All right. So it is get +8, which negates the -8 that it has currently for being very stymied and quite weak. So that drops its. So with its 11, it will hit both. I believe it will hit both Alistair and Shelly with just a regular success. Does that seem correct?
Nope. My shield actually ups my defense by 3.
All right, so it will only hit Shelly.
And my spell is still up, so my defenses are at a +2.
It will spend a possibility to attempt to hit the two of you. You fall off the table, that's your own fault. 24.
Ouch.
So, I think it's still 30, 12, so it's up by 4. So, it will be at a final total of 19.
19. So that clears my 15, but not enough for a
But
bonus
not
die.
enough for a bonus die. Shelly, I believe I get a bonus die on you. Is that correct?
What you've wanted all evening.
All evening. All right, so Alistair, it will hit you for a total of 12, which your toughness is 12, correct?
That is correct.
So you will take 2 shock.
Oh, ouch.
It slams into you, your shield kind of holding it back, but it knocks you back a couple of feet. However, it then brings its claw, it kind of shoulder slams into you and then brings its claw up to hit Shelly, and it gets, it will do 16. So Shelly, you have a +1 toughness, so it will only do 2 shock to you, but it will negate the flames gifted to you by the skeletal guard. All right.
Oh, look at that. We've got him riled now.
He's a little pissed.
Big legs and arms. Oh, I'm scared. It's a wee beastie.
The next card is Run Away with an exclamation point. The villain gets an up on this attack. The approved actions are Defend, so you can, Ben, with Defend, you could, in this case, say, roll Unarmed Combat to increase your Unarmed Combat defense. You're guaranteed at least a +1, but you set it to whatever the total is. Or Maneuver. All right, with the up, it is going to it's going to try and push Shelly into the cauldron and then come after Alistair again. So it's going to take a multi.
Right thing to do.
I mean, with an up.
Right.
All right, so 22 between the two die rolls. So that's +8, so only a -4 at this point. What is your maneuver, Shelley?
It's an 8.
All right.
She's a stocky Puritan woman.
It has a player's choice.
It did.
It what?
It did. My opponent fails.
Slipping on the bones, it reaches to push Shelley's face right into the the dust of this cauldron, and misses completely. Losing its balance just a bit, it has to take to the air so that it doesn't give all Ravagons a bad name. I'm really sorry, Craig, if you're watching.
It's now stymied too because it failed.
You are up. Now it's stymied again. All right, heroes. See if you can finish this thing off. Call it a night.
What is the approved action, JM?
The approved action is defend or maneuver.
I think I would like to maneuver to where I will run up to join the good lady near the altar and the cauldron, and I will stand on top of the now overturned, heavy, marginally molten cauldron. I'll stand on the back of it,
Okay.
hitting the leg and maybe back wing
Okay.
of the Ravagon, so that my compatriots can then finish him off with a shot or a slice.
All right. Give me the roll.
That's a 10. That's a 16. So,
You're at +9, bud.
+9 to my maneuver. A 19.
A 19 to your maneuver is a good success. So you could make him very vulnerable.
How far away to outstanding?
It is just like, so he's got a maneuver of 14. So you just hit, you need a 4.
I'll go vulnerable.
All right, very vulnerable. All right, -4. Who's going next? So Malachi gets up and starts wrestling this thing. It is off balance. It is weak. Alistair, Reginald, and Shelley.
I shall believe I shall fire a shot. Though this time we shall go. Well, no, that's probably a bad idea.
Chat has a really good point, Malachi. How are you grappling and holding the torch?
Very carefully. Very well,
In
thank
your teeth.
You give me a good description, and I'll let it.
In juggling.
You have ads in juggling. So as you're grappling him, kind of keeping it. So
On the weekends, I'm a fire spinner on the boardwalk.
all right, Malachi, I'm gonna require you to spend a possibility to not check to see if the torch goes out as you're waving it around.
One of my 8 possibilities? Why, yes, I will spend one.
Big Bad Bites It syndrome is a real thing that 9 out of 10 GMs suffer from at various points in their careers. So who's going next?
Question real quick. Do I have any reason to believe that a holy water round would have any special effect on a Ravagon?
Not necessarily.
All right. In that case, I believe I shall once again... Well, and also the explosive round probably is also going to explode and hurt my...
So the explosive round is a small blast, so it only affects one target.
Okay. So in that case, I shall apply the finishing blow, if I can, using the explosive round. And let's see, I don't have anything else I can use, but I shall roll for that. That is a 15, so a +2 to a 12, so a 14.
I appreciate it, Mr. Furious. I really do. A 14, you said? Well, normally I would laugh and scoff at your miss. However, he is very vulnerable due to having a Malachi on his back. So a 14 is a standard success. If you can get it somehow to a 16, you would have a good success.
Can a possibility be used in that way?
You would roll, so you would add it to your initial roll, and you
All
got
right.
a pretty good chance of getting it to where you're at. So what's your initial roll at, Ben?
The initial roll is a 15.
All right, so roll another d10.
All right. Is it D10 or just D20?
Oh, sorry, d20. D10.
Okay. It literally went behind my tablet. I'm sorry. There we go. That's a 3.
All right, but that actually gets you to an 18, which is a total of +5, which is enough
I
to
will
get a
take
good
it.
success. All right, roll your damage.
Excellent.
What's your base damage?
Now, base damage is 8 or 14, correct?
14?
Now, I did notice that with this Dragon Slayer medal, +1 BD to all damage totals against large or greater sized creatures. I assume he
It
is.
is not a large creature.
He's not. Okay.
He is not.
All right.
I double
In that
checked.
case,
He's not.
So-
All right, so go ahead. So it's 14 is your base damage.
Okay.
You're ignoring his armor, so roll your
Okay.
bonus die.
all right. That is a 3.
All right. All right. It kind of glances against him, doing some shock, but no wounds.
Well, it's all yours, Scotsman.
So, Ben, piece of advice, now that you've gone, you can put a card in your pool. This
Good
is-
thinking.
This is what that master plan is for, because then you can take the opponent fails card back out of the discard pile.
All right, let's do that then. On my next turn, right?
Once it's
No,
in
no,
your pool,
you do
you
it
can
now.
use it. Yeah.
Oh, let's just do it right now then.
All right, you have opponent fails. All right, Alistair, Shelley, you
Oh.
see it rocks back. It definitely is looking for something heavy to squish Malachi against. You definitely get the feeling that's intent. Who's going next?
Oh, well, I certainly can't allow that for that to happen. So, I'm going to leap forward and smash on its arms to bring it sort of forward, and then I'm just going to stab over the top of my shield at it.
So maneuver and then stab?
Or
Or
no,
just
I'm just
one
going
roll? All right, go for it.
You know,
Oh, that's not the card I wanted to see.
well, the 6 is not exciting at all. So I think I'll spend a possibility and make that a little bit more enticing. 6 followed up by a 9 is 15.
+2.
So that will take me for a total of 14.
So
but he's very vulnerable.
He is very vulnerable, so a 14 is a standard success. His defense is reduced to 11.
And I will leave it there.
All
I'm
right,
not
what's
gonna
the
have
base damage on your weapon?
Base damage on my weapon is a meager 13.
All right.
Oh no, I take it back 12. It's 12.
12? All right.
Because iron sabers are weaker than normal ones.
All right. So you hit it sort of, you can see it kind of reels. It doesn't seem to bite into its thick hide, but shock has been done.
I'll do
Shelley,
it. I'll take it.
don't forget to put cards into your pool.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. What do I want to do?
I don't know.
I think I want to cast Hellfire
All right.
right in his face
All right, go for it. Give me a
and
hellfire.
aim away from Malachi.
Well,
So maybe more like midsection.
is
torso
is
region?
hellfire a area of effect spell?
Ooh, that wasn't where I was going.
It's fine.
It just says range 5 meters and projects a gout of flame from my hand.
What? Hellfire anti-tank missiles? Not, I assume, not what you're using. Dodge or dexterity. It does not say it's an area of effect spell. But what I am going to say is if you get a good or outstanding success, Malachi is going to catch a little of the bonus damage.
Plus, we don't want to roll on that odd number. Because she's shooting into melee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not opposed to a little pain.
Yes, but I am.
Well, is that or I try and run in and stab him, and I'm not so good at stabby. So
Do it.
I want
Do
to
it.
do it. I am going against his dodge or dex, but since he's stymied, is that affected?
Vulnerable.
Yes.
Vulnerable?
He's very vulnerable, so his defense is only 14. But again, if you roll, if the final die total is odd, you will hit someone else in the melee.
It's over.
This is where we waste each other.
Okay. So I rolled a 16. And what am I? It's faith, right? So it's faith. So a 16 is.
So a 16 is an even die roll,
Okay. So that'd get me to a 17 total.
which is enough for the miracle to go off with a base damage of 13.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you want to risk it with a increase, or are you going to leave it there?
I kind of want to fry him.
Yeah, torch us. We'll take it. How it goes. However it goes, we'll take it.
I have a healing spell, so if I survive.
I don't know. It's if I survive.
Go for it, Maddie. You got a 50.
I dressed up pretty for this.
Spend a possibility.
Are you really that bad that I'm going to kill you?
Well, it depends. If you roll really, really, really awesome, yeah.
Well, and here's the thing: there's just a chance that it will hit somebody. So I roll a d6 to see who it hits. If you get an odd vital total, is that an odd?
Curses on the doohick. I rolled a 3.
So I get you to a 19. So I get you to a plus 6. So what does that give you?
It's just success. So it's either plus 6. Gets me to a 20.
A 20 will do some wounds. All right, 1 or 2 is my guy. 3 or 4 is Alistair, and 5 or 6 is Malachi.
I could trade Maddie a card to let her roll one more dice to see if it's even or odd, but that would also
Increase the damage quite a bit.
Yeah, but if it goes even, then it doesn't hit us at all.
That's true. You gonna do it?
There's a lot of if in this plan.
It
A
doesn't
whole
matter.
lot of
Send you a card that'll give you another possibility to roll if you want. It's in my pool. I can trade it straight to your pool. I'll give you my hero if you give me your whatever. I don't care. Just give me whatever.
Well, the only thing in my pool right now is Martyr. Do you really want Martyr?
You know I do. Oh my god. Oh my god. Please, please, please. Yeah, please do that. Do that.
All right, trade it and roll it.
Cool.
Okay.
Roll it again, Maddie. Let's see if you get 2 bonus dice of damage here.
Okay. So I rolled a 5.
That makes it an even, which means it hits. All right, Maddie. 13 plus 2 bonus dice of damage. My 1 chance to kill one of you. Gone.
Ooh, I rolled a 6, so that explodes.
That's the first one. All right, so you're at 18.
And I rolled a 2,
So 20.
and then a 3, so 23.
All
And
right,
she
that's
will
a
yell, "The power
wound.
of Christ
Oh, go ahead.
compels." Oh, she just yells, "The power of Christ compels thee."
All right, hellfire comes gouting out of your hands. I have to spend a possibility to try and soak this. I'm gonna just pull my contact out in frustration. Just rip it right out of there. All right, well. A metaphor for tonight. It rolled a 3, which is a -6, which means it does not soak the wound. And is down to 3 or it is up to 3 wounds. So it's at a -3 to everything. All right. Next card is time for action. Heroes go first. Attack and trick are the approved actions. Because, of course they are. This thing is on the ropes. You've heard tales of mighty Ravagons who have torn through entire platoons. This must not be one of them.
Well, no, they just didn't have any Scotsmen on the platoons.
It's probably the lucky Scotsman. Let's be honest. Now standard issue with all Delphi Council operations. Who's going first? I got one possibility left. No, I'm fine.
The thing is that he's proven so successful in the field that they're always after his lucky charm.
It's Ireland.
Even better.
Phantom of Truth did point out that you guys hit Shiga so hard you knocked the contact out of my eye. Phantom gets a possibility. Who's going first?
I'm gonna go ahead and just lay into him.
Go for it.
I'm gonna go for brokage. 20. Followed by a 5. So that's 8 passed. Puts my total at 20. Which is only a good success,
That is
right?
a good success.
I'll spend a possibility to upper.
All right.
For another 3. So that is...
Does that get you to a 21?
9 and 12 is 21, yes.
All right. Not only do you get the coup de grace card for a successful attack, you get an outstanding success. So Malachi holding him down, Hellfire still wreathed around him. You bring up the Iron Saber.
All right. Going for 2. You know what?
You would take the 3 shock for a third?
Yeah, it's going to put me at the very edge of my shock limit, but I think it's worth it. Well, 1 infinity followed up by a 1, so that's 6 so far. And 5 is 11. Good Lord, really? And another 5 is 16. On top of my saber of 12 is 28.
All right, so this is my last possibility.
This is where you're going to save your opponent fails card for.
Because he's got 2 wounds and 4 shock coming. And I roll a 4.
Didn't need it.
So with his penalties, drops him below 10. Shiga, the Sandwing, drops to the ground. Alistair, what does it look like?
So, we started out the whole melee cutting, and all of a sudden there's this gout of steam from one side. My ear is ringing because there's this concussive blast of an adamantite shell from the other side. I'm trying to paw and cut my way across. There's this gout of flame that guts up in front of me. I'm like, would you all stop trying to help? And then I'm just going to bring that sword arm up and then bring the shield up underneath its arms, and then just take my sword and bring it right up through the neck and out through the top of the head, and just pull it forward and go, you chose the wrong party, and then pull it out.
As this Ravagon drops to the ground, the temple is strangely quiescent. Whatever it was attempting to do foiled. Tales of the ignition, the hope that has spread from Shelley's blessing, that has been carried from people, the ignition of the path, the fact that people have come down. Hamza spreading the tale of not just the stop of a Gaunt Man's plot, but of the slaying of one of his lieutenants, which has devastated the region. And perhaps the B team finds themselves on the outside of the Delphi Council's good graces. No more. Thank you all. This went nowhere like I planned, but that is one of the beauty of Torg. I hope you had fun. I thoroughly enjoyed running this for all of you. Did you guys have fun?
Oh, absolutely.
Good times.
Quickly, I believe Malachi would go to Shelly and say, "Your flames burning the side of my face. We're good."
All right, well, check out all of the other great shows on the Ulysses International channel. I will be back on Thursday with the crew of the Oh Boy, mostly reunited, and a new member of the crew. We will not be playing next week. We just hope that with next week being November 3rd, spend the night doing something relaxing and maybe reading some Torg books. Yeah. Oh, yes. And I'm 100%. If you have not, go out and vote. Just do it. Just vote. So until next time, I am JM the GM. This is the B team who thwarted my attempts at a Halloween one-shot and turned it into Why They Are So Awesome, which is one of the great parts about Torg. Go out and buy it. If you're not playing it, go do it.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you all. Thank you, Brian and Ben and Maddie and Ben, for joining. This was the most delightful way I could have thought of spending the night. Until next time, have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and again, go out and vote.